But if you suffer from stress, anxiety, or phobias, and actually I suffer all those symptoms with regard to working out, our first guest might wind up staying here a little bit longer.
Yeah.
His name is David Rourke, and he is actually a certified master in something that's called emotional freedom technique, right?
Techniques.
Techniques.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And what exactly is that?
It's acupuncture for the emotions, and except we're not going to use needles, because that would start a whole new set of fears, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. Fear of needles.
Yeah, it was the founder of EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques, is Gary Craig. He was trained as a Stanford engineer. Engineers trained at Stanford University. Never practiced a day in his life as an engineer. He was always into helping people, but he's very left-brained and kind of walks around like this, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was studying with this fellow named Roger Callahan about how energy meridians and emotions, actually the emotions are affected by disrupted energy meridians, and developed this technique, dusted off ancient acupuncture and added a few kind of innovations to it, and we have emotional freedom techniques.
So what exactly are you doing when someone comes to see you?
Well, it's some voodoo stuff, actually.
We love voodoo around here.
Okay, we need a bone, we need a black cat, and we need
a pot of brew.
Yeah.
Strange brew.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the first bone that rises to the surface, you smash that one out.
Okay, other than that.
Other than that.
Oh boy.
We actually have people tap on the endpoints of certain meridians. Now, our body is just full of meridians. In fact, the one on top of the head is called the meeting place of 100 meridians. Sure. But there would be a Chinese word for it, which I don't speak Chinese, so... Anyway, the endpoints of these meridians is what we use while you're focused on what it is that bothers you. So say you have a fear of spiders, say you have a resentment against your sister or your mother, and like Freud said, if it ain't one thing, it's a mother. All issues seem to go that way. Okay. Yeah, I'm full of cliche. I was waiting to see the drummer.
Yeah, we'll get the drummer up.
Next time.
So the endpoints of the meridians will be stimulated either by gently tapping, or you can rub them. Okay, and while you're focused on what it is that's bothering you, and you'll notice a reduction.
So say if someone was claustrophobic.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah,
most definitely.
That's what I have.
Okay.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, good. We have a closet somewhere that we can...
So that's like, would you have to take Leslie into a closet and do this technique on her?
That's torturous. What I would ask, that's the old way.
I mean, like in a very confined space, something over my face or my eyes, or like feel like someone's suffocating me, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm just different for different people,
all the
right?
time.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that deal with that, right? To different degrees.
So does one phobia? Do you treat it differently than another in the way that you know?
The stimulation of the acupressure points is the same.
Okay.
It's the setup phrases, kind of getting the people to think of what it is, to keep them focused on it. Because one thing that happens with EFT, you know, we're really fixated on a certain, say it's a resentment. You know, oh, I'm so angry at Joe for what he did, and I can never forgive him, and stuff like that. And they're just feeling like a victim in a sense, because of what Joe did. You tap on that, and what EFT will do, it'll calm you. This is the only side effect of this. It calms you so you think more clearly about what's going on.
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
Now, what led you to this originally?
I was an addiction counselor at the Newport Center in Port Colborne, and I noticed that if you can keep everybody clean for 90 days and give them a psych evaluation, between 80 and 90% would be diagnosed as having post-traumatic stress disorder or some kind of acute stress disorder. The reason why they were using the substances in the first place is because it worked. It released, or it relieved that anxiety that they were feeling. And it got into a habit, obviously. And so anyway, I'm watching this, and I realized maybe if we learn how to turn that trauma on switch off, because it seems like trauma is not just a sexual assault or an accident. It could be the look of a caregiver at a specific time that just changes your life. You know, like a look of disgust from mom or dad or something at a particular time where you were looking for something different, and this is what you got instead.
Sure.
So that is trauma. So that switch is easy to turn on, very hard to turn off. Or it seemed very hard to turn off until this. So I started, from addiction counselor, I started learning to be a trauma specialist. And I am a certified trauma specialist. And what happened, what I noticed was, I went to, in one of the courses I took was EFT. And I was working with this other clinician. We were in a room full of social workers and stuff. And she had a fear of driving over railroad tracks with her car. She was in her mid to late 50s, and all her driving career, she couldn't drive over railroad tracks.
Wow.
And it's joy limiting because you have to plan your day, and if you run into them, what do I do now? Right? You pull over the road, cry, panic, all that stuff.
Yeah, when you have a phobia like that, you can't really explain to everyone else. People might think it's silly, but it is what it is, right?
It is what it is.
So.
That's right. Yeah, how it got there, who knows?
Yeah.
You know, the EFT will get to the core of that, so that you find out what that core is. That's what you fix, and the rest is history.
So how many treatments would it require to overcome a phobia?
Well, this one here, it took 17 minutes, between 15 and 20 minutes.
Okay, so how about for